Hello there, I'm Nadia Azmi and this is Nightline. Here are the top stories. Arrest warrant issued against Benjamin Netanyahu is a victory for justice and humanity. And stomping on cadet with spiked boots, UPNM cadet pleads not guilty. Good morning. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim described the arrest warrant issued against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is a victory for those who stand for justice and humanity. The Prime Minister said the decision would alleviate the suffering of the people in Palestine. Speaking after performing Friday prayers at Surau Al-Husna in Precinct 9 Putrajaya, Anwar said the International Criminal Court's ICC decision as reasonable as it was based on the law and evidence of oppression, cruelty and ongoing killings.
Jadi kita alu-alukan keputusan itu dan setuju dengan tindakan bahawa kalau ada mana-mana lawatan dia keluar harus ditangkap. Dan saya perhatikan ada beberapa negara Eropah yang sudah buat kenyataan yang sedemikian.
The United Nations Human Rights Office on Thursday said it fully supported the ICC's work to further accountability. On Thursday, the ICC issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and his former defense chief, Yoav Gallant, as well as a Hamas leader, Ibrahim al-Masri, over alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. Commenting on the veto by the US on a push by the UN Security Council to call for a ceasefire in Gaza, he said the US's decision did not represent the majority.
Itu keputusan US, tapi saya rasa keputusan dunia sebaliknya.
Meanwhile, the impact of the warrants announced by the ICC will depend on whether the court's 124 member states, which do not include Israel or its ally the US, decide to enforce them or not. Several European countries have said they respect ICC decisions. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer backed the ICC after it issued arrest warrants. He also stressed that the government respected the independence of the ICC. The European Union, EU and the Netherlands have also voiced support for the arrest warrants. In the Middle East, Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi said the ICC's decision must be respected and implemented and that Palestinians deserve justice. While Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said the ICC arrest warrant was a hopeful and crucial step in bringing to justice Israeli authorities who committed genocide against Palestinians. Meanwhile, the White House has fundamentally rejected the warrants for the Israeli leaders. In a statement, President Joe Biden said the ICC issuance of arrest warrants against Israeli leaders is outrageous. Meanwhile, at least 5 medics were killed on Friday in 2 separate Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon. The Health Ministry in a statement said an Israeli strike hit a team belonging to the Islamic Health Association's Civil Defense Unit in the Jazan district, killing 3 medics and injuring 3 others. Earlier, 2 paramedics were killed when an airstrike targeted their ambulance in Deir Kanun, Ras Al Ain, Tyre district. In Gaza, health officials warned that all hospitals in the Strip will have to stop or reduce services within 48 hours for lack of fuel after Israel blocked its entry. The proposed 4.5-day work week by the Johor State Government may be discussed at the Malaysia-Singapore Annual Leaders Retreat. Unity Government spokesman Fahmi Fadil said this was, however, not discussed in Friday's cabinet meeting.
Tak dibincangkan dan mungkin serba sedikit akan diteliti terutama dalam konteks Annual Leadership Retreat, Annual Leaders Retreat antara Malaysia dengan Singapura pada 8-9 hari bulan Disember nanti. Tapi dalam mesyuarat Jemaah Menteri hari ini tidak dibincangkan.
On Thursday, Johor Menteri Besar Dato' Onn Hafiz Ghazi said the state was studying a proposal to change the public sector working period to only 4.5 days a week due to the reintroduction of weekend days off beginning January 1st, 2025. The Congress of Unions of Employees in the Public and Civil Services QPACs, meanwhile, said the shortened work week will not compromise the quality or productivity of the public sector, but instead will transform the public service delivery system into a more efficient one. Its president, Dato' Adnan Mat, said Johor's initiative to explore this proposal aligned with the government's broader efforts to enhance productivity and improve the public service delivery system, particularly in empowering public services. Previously, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, was reported to have implemented the shortest work week in the world with just 4.5 working days per week. Under this measure, working hours from Monday to Thursday are from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., while on Fridays, working hours are from 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Additionally, for government employees, there is the option to work from home on Fridays and arrange their working hours flexibly. A Universiti Pertahanan Nasional Malaysia UPNM cadet officer was charged in the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court on Friday with injuring his junior by stomping on the victim's stomach with spike boots last month. 22-year-old Muhammad Adil Mat Awangani, however, pleaded not guilty when the charge was read to him before Magistrate Nur Elina Hanim Abdul Halim. Adil, a third-year cadet, is accused of intentionally injuring 19-year-old Muhammad Haziq Iqbal, causing him to sustain fractured ribs and spinal injuries. The offence was allegedly committed at the parade ground of the UPNM Military Training Academy at 10:45 p.m. on October 21st. The charge under the Penal Code carries a maximum penalty of 1 year in prison, a fine of up to 2,000 ringgit or both upon conviction. The court set bail at 5,000 ringgit and fixed February 10th for case remention. The case garnered widespread attention after a series of bullying incidents at UPNM, including a recent one where a trainee sustained burned injuries after a senior pressed a hot iron to his body. Police are confident that they can complete their investigations into the death of Theo Beng Hok within 6 months, as directed by the High Court on Thursday. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said that the Attorney General's Chambers, AGC, will also be consulted to complete the probe.
Siasatan tersebut juga sebelum ini telah pun pihak PDRM jalankan dan telah merujuk kepada pihak AG dan berbatah balik lah. Dan buat masa sekarang kita akan mendapatkan juga nasihat daripada pejabat AGC untuk merujukkan semula kertas ini dan melihat keterangan-keterangan yang ada yang perlu kita lengkapkan, insya-Allah.
Speaking at a press conference at the Police Training Centre Pulapol in Kuala Lumpur on Friday, Razaruddin stated that the Specialised Criminal Investigation Unit, USJT, have been established to carry out and finalise the investigation. He also urged those with information about the case to step forward. On Thursday, the Kuala Lumpur High Court ordered the police to complete the investigation into Theo's death within 6 months. The directive was issued by Justice Datuk Wan Ahmad Farid Wan Saleh after allowing the application for a judicial review filed by Theo's parents 2 years ago. Theo, who was the political secretary to the then Sri Kembangan Assemblyman Ian Yong Hian Wah, was found dead on July 16, 2009 at the 5th floor of Plaza Masalam Shah Alam after providing his statement at the Selangor Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC office located on the 14th floor of the same building. Meanwhile, Razaruddin revealed that the police have no information about claims that Loh Teck Jo or Jolo is hiding in Myanmar. The top cop said that Myanmar, which is also a member of the ASEAN Police ASEANAPOL, had not provided any information about the fugitive businessman who is a key figure in the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB scandal.
Tindakan-tindakan itu maklumat yang ada daripada kita untuk Myanmar, kita akan berikan kepada Myanmar, akan membantu Myanmar. Apa juga yang kita minta daripada pihak Myanmar ni disebabkan dia dalam ASEANAPOL, pihak Myanmar juga akan membantu. Buat masa ni memang kita tak ada lagi maklumat apa-apa dan pihak Myanmar pun tak ada menyatakan apa-apa.
On Tuesday, former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak's lawyer Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah said he believed Jolo was hiding in Myanmar. He reached this conclusion based on the testimony from former 1MDB in-house lawyer Jasmine Liu in court. A policeman pleaded not guilty at the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court on Friday to stealing jewellery from a deceased woman last month. 35-year-old Lance Corporal Muhammad Alifah Muhammad Sapi'i claimed trial after the charge was read out to him before Magistrate M.S. Arunjoti. Alifah was accused of stealing a necklace and a bracelet from the body of 26-year-old Nur Farhana Nisha Shazwan. Her body was found inside a car parked by the side of Jalan Prima Stapa in Wang Semaju at 2:40 a.m. on October 1st. The charge under the Penal Code provides a jail sentence of up to 7 years or a fine or both upon conviction. The court set bail at 3,500 ringgit with one surety and fixed January 22nd next year for case mentioned. Previously, it was reported that the victim's father, a 59-year-old former senior police officer, filed a report after discovering that the jewellery his daughter was wearing at the time of her death was missing. The Pahang Customs Department has busted a cigarette smuggling syndicate after seizing over 2.5 million sticks of white cigarettes valued at over 1.7 million ringgit, including taxes and duties. The seizure was made through two separate operations in Rompin and Alor Gajah Melaka. State Customs Director Muhammad Asri Seman said that in the first operation, at about 6:50 a.m. on October 22nd, enforcement officers inspected a bonded lorry which had been abandoned by its driver by the roadside on the Kuantan Segamat Highway in Muazzam Shah, Rompin. They then found several brown boxes containing 1,680,000 sticks of cigarettes worth an estimated 1.12 million ringgit. The syndicate's modus operandi involves smuggling the contraband early in the morning via sea routes to avoid detection, with the cigarettes believed to be intended for the market in the southern region of the peninsula. In the second operation, conducted at 4:15 p.m. on November 3rd, a total of 897,800 cigarette sticks worth an estimated 599,730 ringgit were seized from a double-storey warehouse at Alor Gajah Industrial Centre in Melaka. Asri stated that the premises were being used to store untaxed cigarettes and further investigations into the owners are ongoing. Both cases are being investigated under the Customs Act. 2 people were badly hurt while 4 others sustained minor injuries in a 7-vehicle collision on the North-South Expressway NSE heading north in Nilai Negeri Sembilan on Friday morning. The 6:50 a.m. incident, which occurred near Ainsdale, also resulted in a severe 10-kilometre traffic congestion for more than 3 hours. Nilai District Police Chief Superintendent Abdul Malik Hasim said the accident was believed to have been caused by a lorry losing control and veering into the right lane. The lorry, driven by a 74-year-old man, accompanied by a 60-year-old attendant, was travelling from Tan Pin towards Kajang Selangor when the crash occurred. 6 other vehicles following behind the lorry tried to avoid it but ended up colliding with one another. The driver and passenger of one of the cars involved in the pile-up suffered serious injuries and were taken to Tuanku Jaafar Hospital for treatment. 3 passengers from another car and the lorry attendant who sustained minor injuries were also treated at the same hospital. The cause of the accident is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. Inflation in Malaysia picked up slightly and was a tad faster than expected in October. Official data released by the Department of Statistics on Friday showed food and beverage, which has the largest weight in the index, rose 2.3% in October when compared to the same month last year. While the group that covers personal care, social protection, miscellaneous goods and services was up 3.4%. The inflation rate in the information and communication category, as well as the clothing and footwear category, were in the negative territory in October. Meanwhile, the sub-indices of housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels, education, alcoholic beverages and tobacco, and insurance and financial services all increased at the same rate as the previous month. Last week, the central bank said inflation is expected to remain modest for the remaining months of 2024, though the outlook for next year would depend on domestic policy measures and external risks. Singapore on Friday upgraded its economic growth forecast for 2024 to around 3.5%, above the range of its previous prediction. In August, its Ministry of Trade and Industry narrowed the gross domestic product GDP growth forecast to 2% to 3%. It upgraded the 2024 forecast on Friday after taking into account the better-than-expected performance of the Singapore economy in the first 3 quarters of the year, as well as the latest global and domestic situations. Singapore's economy grew 5.4% in the third quarter of this year, up from the advanced estimates of 4.1%. Japan's minority government on Friday signed off a $140 billion stimulus drive aimed at putting more money in consumers' pockets after the ruling party's worst election result in 15 years. According to the government, the package worth $141.8 billion includes handouts of around $194 for low-income households, fuel and energy subsidies, and assistance to small businesses. The overall business impact was expected to be $252 billion. Meanwhile, to pay for the package, the government will table a supplementary budget by the end of the year in the lower house. However, views about the move among locals were mixed, as Japan's public debt stands at more than twice the size of its economy, by far the biggest among industrialized economies. Three national pairs shown the exit in the last 8. Actions from the 2024 China Masters after this breather. Feeling overwhelmed by chaos? Tune in for practical tips on how to transform your mind and home into a serene sanctuary.
Okay, you cannot have everything. Your mind, your health is more important.
I use the concept must or want. Must mean by hook or by crook, I must have it. Right. So I will ask, what is it for?
Catch Women Talk this Saturday 5 p.m. only on TV3. Stream now on Tonton.
Dua terbaik untuk minggu keempat, Syiha dan Rida Zite.
Kini juri memberikan cabaran untuk tema minggu ini.
Minggu ni aku yang nak pilih.
Oi.
Masih Dayu apa?
Woi. Bersediakah para duo memberikan persembahan yang memukau hati juri? Saksikan Family Duo Ahad ini 9 malam hanya di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton. 3 identiti, 1 misi. Si ayah seorang perisik. Si ibu pembunuh upahan. Dan si anak dengan kuasa telepati. Berpura-pura menjadi keluarga, tetapi ada rahsia yang disembunyikan. Saksikan Spy X Family setiap Ahad 11 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Kenapa?
それのせいで別れたの？なんで俺に言ってくれなかったの？
桜君に会うことを湊に話してたし。
Silent setiap Sabtu dan Ahad 7 malam di Yoshi TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. Sports now. Badminton, the 2024 China Masters. 2 national mixed doubles pairs, Chen Tangji To Yi-wei and Hu Pangron Cheng Su-yin, booked their spots in the last 4 after beating their respective opponents on Friday.
Chen and To staged a magnificent comeback against China's world number 13, Go Xinhua Chen Fanghui, to to reach the semi-finals. The world number 10 saved 10 match points in the second game to force the decider and prevail 14-21, 23-21, 21-16 in 65 minutes. The pair will meet either China's world number 2 Feng Yanxie, Huang Dongping or Taiwan's Yang Po-swan, Hu Lingfang in the last 4 on Saturday. Joining them were Hu Fanrong, Cheng Su-yin. The world number 25 outplayed Taiwan's world number 33 Chen Cheng-kwan, Su Yinghui 21-10, 21-16 in 31 minutes. The duo will meet Hong Kong's Tan Chun-man, Si Ying-sweat, who beat Indonesians Dejan Ferdinand Shah, Gloria Emmanuel Wijaja. However, it was the end of the road for top-seeded national men's doubles pair Aaron Chia and So Woo-yik. The world number 5 duo needed to beat China's world number 6 He Jiting, Ren Shanyu to confirm their WTF spot, but fell to a 23-25, 21-17, 12-21 defeat in 73 minutes. World number 8 duo Goh Zifei, Nur Izzuddin Rumsani also shared the same fate. The Malaysian independent pair was beaten 21-18, 19-21, 21-23 by world number 13 Sabah Karyaman Gutama Muhreza Pahlavi of Indonesia in 63 minutes. Also shown the exit was national women's doubles pair Perli Tan and M. Tina. The duo exited the tournament after losing 16-21, 17-21 to China's world number 1 Lu Shengshu Tan Ning in 48 minutes.
And on to squash, the 2024 Singapore Open. National players Ng Ian Yao and Siva Sanggari stormed into the semi-finals in sensational style on Friday. World number 14 Ng put on a show in the last 8 as he came back from a first set defeat to claim a 9-11, 12-10, 11-1, 6-11, 2018 win in a lengthy showdown against world number 12 Victor Crouin of France. Ng will face world number 1 Ali Faraj of Egypt in the last 4 on Saturday. Joining him was world number 9 Siva Sanggari. She defeated world number 13 Farouz Abu Al-Khair of Egypt, clinching a 9-11, 11-3, 7-11, 11-8, 11-2 win in the prolonged quarterfinals. Waiting for her in the semis is Amina Orfi. Police detonate package near London's US Embassy. The details when Nightline returns.
Tak nak menang hadiah bernilai RM1 juta ke? Kalau nak, datanglah uji bakat Kopi Soda One in a Million. Hujung minggu ni di Kuantan City Mall Kuantan dari jam 10 pagi hingga 10 malam. Nak datang seorang boleh, 2 boleh, bawa 1 keluarga lagi on. Apa tu lagi? Jangan lepaskan peluang 1 dalam sejuta ini untuk memenangi hadiah bernilai RM1 juta. Kopi Soda One in a Million, segar rasa, sedap suara.
Yang paling kritikal lah sekarang ni, yang hingga sekarang terasa sakit, lutut saya lah. Lutut saya pecah, terbelah, pecah dan hampir 4 kali masuk besi, buang besi sebab oleh kerana sakit.
Kadang tu malu pun ada sebab macam kita meminta-minta kan. Sedih kalau orang tahu mungkin kehidupan saya kan.
Lebih segar, lebih dinamik. Laporan komprehensif menghidupkan pagi anda.
Buletin pagi dengan waktu yang baharu. 9.30 pagi setiap hari bermula 1 November.
Laporan ibu bapa kata ada keracunan makanan. Bila saya nak cek, saya tengok keadaan dapur teruk.
Berwaspada terhadap kebersihan makanan dianggap cerewet.
Premis persekitaran yang kotor juga boleh menyumbang kepada pencemaran makanan.
Tahukah anda makanan tercemar boleh mengundang maut?
Apabila kita masak, kita kena masak dengan sempurna.
Awasi kebersihan, elak keracunan. Perbincangannya dalam Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. Singapore on Friday hanged a 55-year-old man for drug trafficking, marking the city-state's third execution in a week as the United Nations called for a halt. Its drug enforcement agency said Rosman Abdullah, 55, was executed for trafficking 57.43 grams of heroin into the city-state. According to the Central Narcotics Bureau, Rosman, who was a Singaporean, was accorded full due process under the law and was represented by legal counsel throughout the process. Meanwhile, the UN and rights groups have argued that capital punishment has no proven deterrent effect and have called for it to be abolished, as they condemned Rosman's scheduled execution as chilling and extremely alarming. However, Singaporean officials insist it has helped make the country one of Asia's safest. UK police on Friday said that its officers had carried out a controlled explosion after a suspicious package was found outside the United States Embassy in London. The capital's Metropolitan Police Force conducted the explosion after setting up cordons near the high-security site in Nine Elms, just south of the River Thames. The force said in a post on X, confirming that the loud bang reported in the area a short time ago was a controlled explosion carried out by officers. They said that inquiries are still ongoing and cordons will remain in place for the time being. Earlier, the U.S. Embassy said in a post that local authorities were investigating a suspicious package outside the building. It added that police had closed a nearby road out of an abundance of caution. A second Australian teenager has died on Friday of suspected methanol poisoning, bringing to 6 the number of foreign tourists who have died after apparently drinking tainted alcohol in Laos. News reports and testimony suggest the tourists may have consumed alcohol laced with methanol, a deadly substance often found in bootleg alcohol. The hostel where the Australian teenagers were staying has said it gave out free shots to around 100 guests that evening and said that no other guests had become unwell. The manager of the hostel has since been detained for questioning by police. Australia is pushing authorities to be open about their investigation into the incident, which is also reported to have left another British woman in hospital. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at the Red Bull Flug Tag event, in which competitors attempt to fly homemade, human-powered flying machines. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for watching and stay safe.